and I'm not factoring that into the game. So I think there are so many new guys on the team, so many guys that haven't taken a snap in college football. They're going to be playing under the lights. Some guys are going to emerge, and I think this team has a chance to be pretty good come November if they have a chance to gel a little bit and come together. But this, to me, is one of the worst. Normally, you don't like those cupcake openers, but this would have been a good year for South Carolina to have a cupcake opener against Sisters of the Poor and have a chance to let everybody play under the lights, run out of the tunnel for the first time, and figure things out. If North Carolina finds a way to get a early lead, if they score early and put some pressure on the Gamecocks offense, and Steve Spurrier gets trigger happy as he's wont to do, it could be tough for the Gamecocks, because I think they do need to rely on the run, and I do think they need to try to play ball control like they did in those years when they won 11 games a year. They relied on a stout defense. Can they rely on their defense this year? Can the defense carry them again this year? Had they made that much of an improvement?
All right, let's jump to the phones and hear what folks have to say about South Carolina and North Carolina, or any of the other games of interest coming up this weekend. 800-956-7266 is the toll-free number. And we go to Columbia, listening to us on the point. Cockett here on Sports Talk. Hello, Cockett.
Yes, how y'all doing? Hey, what's up, K-Man? How you doing, brother?
Outstanding, thanks.
That's good. That's good. How you doing, pro?
Evening.
We're all doing well.
Hey, that's good. I hope y'all praying for my Mets. Y'all gonna be hearing them on the radio besides the Braves. The first time my Mets ever stepped up, it did something good, and I'm not gonna throw in a hat right now because they got a lot more baseball left. But right now, I like their chances. It's going in the postseason, and hope they take care of business. I'm seeing how that's gonna happen when they, we represent to win the championship. So I'm very impressed with my New York Mets.
I mean, yeah, but the Dodgers are the National League, so I would not put the Metropolitans above the Dodgers.
They got two good pitchers.
That's all you need.
They got hitters, but their hitters get cold. They got cold last year. They couldn't even hit the ball park last year. But I don't
Kershaw and Greinke, and pray for a hurricane.
Hey, Cockett, I need a pick on USC and North Carolina, please.
Well, I'm saying that the Tar Heels, I hate to say this, I thought I would never say this. I thought I'm going to be truthful. I'm looking at experience. They got experienced quarterback. They got experienced offensive line. Everybody's about back. I'm seeing North Carolina winning this game 24-13. Tar Heels. I just said,
only 13 points for the Gamecocks.
Yeah. It's a 3-point spread. I just don't see it. I mean, Remy Ward, you don't know who's going to be calling defense as him, or he's bringing in Steve Spurrier, another defensive coordinator. I'm looking for this quarterback. Offensive line will be a little bit more dysfunctional. So is Steve Spurrier calling the plays, or his son calling the plays, or G.B. Mangles is calling the plays? So I'm just telling you.
Spurrier can call, but I don't disagree with Cockett. I don't know if those words have ever come out of anybody's mouth.
Ooh,
but
bite your tongue.
There is potential for a train wreck here. It could be a great game. The Gamecocks could dominate train wreck out there with all these questions.
All right, we'll be right back. right, 800-956-7266. That's our phone number. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Apparently, USC has arrived safely in Charlotte, and they're at their hotel getting ready for evening meetings, meal, and the showdown with the Tar Heels tomorrow night. 800-956-7266. We'll hear from Dabo Swinney tonight as well, his final thoughts of the week. Tigers finishing up practice this afternoon, and we'll hear what he had to say one final time looking ahead to the Wofford Terriers. You heard Mike Ayers and Terrier players last night. They're very excited and very confident heading into the game up at Clemson on Saturday. So we'll hear what Dabo Swinney has to say about all that coming up a little bit later on. Coordinators at the bottom of the hour, governors top of the next hour, right here on Sports Talk, presented by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork, powered by soy. Back to the phones we go, and it is Jay down in Charleston up next here on Sports Talk. Hi, Jay. How are you?
Good. Just a question kind of to expand on what you were talking about. How does Carolina get themselves into the position of considering starting a walk-on quarterback, a walk-on tight end, second receiver only having 8 career catches, former Army man as a second-team defensive lineman? Did they just quit recruiting a couple of years? I know you mentioned a couple of bad evaluations.
It has to go back to evaluations, because if a walk-on is beating out a scholarship player, then you misevaluated that scholarship player. It's as simple as that. And across the board, they've had some departures at wide receiver. I mean, good story in the paper, in the state paper the other day by Matt Connolly on Quinshaw Davis. And the year that South Carolina passed on him, well, who were the 3 receivers they took? Shaq Rowland, Quentin Smith, and Jody Fuller. Mm-hmm. None are with the program any longer. Yeah. All 3 should be with the program.
And Davis is the all-time touchdown reception leader at North Carolina. So that's a miss.
But by the same token, then North Carolina messed up Pharaoh Cooper's recruiting, and he came to South. What I'm trying to say is everything balances out in recruiting. And I stand by my statement that out of a 25-member class, 10 to 12 aren't going to make it anyway.
Well, I don't know about all that. There is attrition for one injuries, academics, but you don't want attrition because you made a bad decision in evaluating the talent. And if players are leaving or you're cutting them because they aren't good enough after they've been in your program and you've recruited them, then that's just bad recruiting.
And what happened? I mean, about 3 years ago, there was a change in the recruiting assignments and recruiting coordinator, and there has been a drop.
Well, what happened was Brad Lawing leaving. Brad Lawing leaving left a void in their recruiting.
You couldn't say a guy like Shaq Rowland,
attack and evaluation.
You couldn't say anything was Shaq Rowland had the talent. It just wasn't here and here.
You mentioned Pharaoh Cooper. That was a Brad Lawing pluck.
Absolutely. He owns Havelock, North Carolina. We'll be back. we're back at Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network here on a Wednesday night from downtown Columbia. Of course, this is kind of like a Friday night with South Carolina playing tomorrow night. We'll have this situation one more time this season in a couple of weeks when Clemson plays at Louisville on a Thursday night. Then the Tigers will have a long break after that Louisville game. They don't play for 2 Saturdays. They'll miss 2 Saturdays before they swing back into action, so they'll get a nice break after going up to Louisville. So let's get into the X's and O's of the games coming up. South Carolina, North Carolina, Clemson, Wofford, and some other games around the SEC and the ACC. We welcome in our coordinators on the defensive side, Ellis Johnson; on the offensive side, Chuck Reedy, though I know both would go the other way if they had to. First of all, Chuck, how are you?
Oh, doing great, Phil.
Thank you for being with us. Ellis, how you doing tonight, man?
Doing good.
Thank you for being with us, and let's get down to it. It's football time finally, and across the country. Chuck, South Carolina, North Carolina. How do you see that one playing out? What are the keys for South Carolina to get a win?
Well, I think it's going to be a very, very tough football game, and I hope Carolina fans don't underestimate North Carolina. They're going to be as good offensively, probably as anybody Carolina's going to play. They got a quarterback back that's had almost 4,000 yards last year. They got 2 excellent running backs. Got the whole offensive line back. I mean, they're going to be a very good football team, I think, and. Carolina, I think the key for them offensively, they've got to go in and run the football because they only have 3 starters back out of their front 7. Carolina's got a fairly experienced offensive line, and in order to take some pressure off of Mitch in his first start, they've got to go in and be able to establish the running game, and they can do that. And and then give him a chance, to throw some as the game goes along. Then I think they'll have a good chance to win the football game.
All right, Ellis, we've got 2 defenses that were ranked near the bottom of the NCAA last season. They're looking for redemption. You got any feel on which of these defenses is going to be redeeming the most tomorrow night?
Well, I'll just have a little more knowledge of Carolina's defense than North Carolina's. But and some, I guess, more familiarity with them. Gene Chizik, of course, was hired, and he's actually my neighbor, and my neighbor last year in the neighborhood there, but was just hired off season. I think Gene will bring some consistency and some, make them a lot better. I think a little more solid and not give up very many big plays. Some of the issues with personnel, and there's only so much you could do about that. But I just feel like they'll be a little bit more solid on that side of the ball. And they'll be facing a young quarterback. And early in the season, Chuck probably a lot better on this than I would be, but early in the season, I always thought it was a huge advantage that first game if you had a quarterback who was a returning starter and a good one at that, and the other team did not have a returning starter. But I do think South Carolina's got a lot of good football players back. I'm sure John will bring some stability and patch a few things up, and I just feel like they're going to probably be a little bit better on defense than North Carolina personnel-wise.
Mm-hmm. Ellis, do you think that Chizik, knowing that South Carolina has a brand-new quarterback, will he bring everything at him early, try and rattle him, see if he can create some mistakes by Connor Mitch?
I'm sure he's going to take his opportunities. He's going to see if the kid can handle pressure. And, in the past, Gene was never a big blitz guy, but he was really a student when the zone blitz first hit college football. He was on the front end of that and used to do a lot of that when he was a defensive coordinator at both Central Florida and at Auburn before he became a head coach. And I'm sure he's going to try to pressure him and get him in a situation. Chuck said they've got to be able to run the ball successfully and maybe not put Connor in so many hard situations on third down with third and longs, and keep it third medium, keep it in third and shorts. Things a little less predictable, and help him in that manner, because I'm sure he'll try to pressure him when it's an obvious pressure down.
Chuck, during your days coaching quarterbacks, I'm sure you had to throw a new one out there to start a season. You didn't always have a veteran guy to run out there. What do you say to the new guy first time out in And this is not a walkover game. I mean, you're facing some semi-quality, could be a very quality FBS opponent, one that's on your level. So you're Steve Spurrier. What are you saying to and G.A. Mangus? What are you saying to Connor Mitch before he goes out there tomorrow night?
Well, he's just got to go out there and play his game, and he's got to do the same things that he's been doing in practice throughout fall workouts and spring practice. You don't, but as a head coach and as a play caller, you've got to control a little bit of the situations that you put him in. You don't ask him to do a lot of things that are that are going to be difficult for him. And the things that he throws well, the things that he does well. So, make sure you give him some things early on that'll give him some confidence, because that's going to be the key, that he gets off to a good start. And he simple throws early, in the game to get his confidence up. I think the guy who's the key guy, I think, for Carolina, is Darrell Adams. The more I've looked at them and thought about him, he's a guy that has never really played to his potential. But here's a guy that's a wide receiver playing tight end. He's a 6'6" guy. He's a big target. He's a guy that can be a go-to guy. Obviously Pharaoh Cooper's the guy, but he's going to get. They're going to try to do some things to take away some of the things that he does, but Darrell Adams can be the key in this football game because he's a guy that can, give Connor Mitch, a guy that he can find and, on some underneath stuff, and he's a big target and can be a real help to him, I think.
Ellis, you're Gene Chizik, and you got that North Carolina defense facing this South Carolina offense with, a group of receivers who haven't played outside of Pharaoh Cooper. So, are you going to do something to take Pharaoh Cooper out of the game and see if Carlton Hurd or Darrell Adams or somebody else in that receiving corps can beat you?
Oh, I'm sure he will. The difficulty with that is they move him around. But sometimes he's an inside receiver, much harder to double team an inside receiver. And they'll play him on the weak side and the strong side. So in your plan and trying to double Pharaoh, it's very difficult as you're trying to call a game and stop the run and down in distances and such, where you're not really thinking they're going to throw the football, and all of a sudden you get the deep shot and he's not doubled. So it's a little bit harder to do than that sounds like on Monday Night Football. But then I'll tell you the other thing on that is Steve is probably the best I've ever coached with or against at setting up 2 or 3 plays early in the game with formation movement or adjustment, things that he's seen on film, and giving his quarterback a good deep shot to throw where he's probably going to get one open. And even if he misses him, it'll be frustrating, but it'll help his confidence to know he's got one back there behind the secondary and can get that deep shot. If he hits it, boy, that really helps that quarterback, takes a lot of pressure off of him, and he's back that defense the rest of the night. So I know he's going to try to do that, set that up, and Pharaoh can get deep. And he's probably got some other guys that can run and get deep. And I just think he's as good as there is in trying to get those 2 or 3 times where you get that big play early.
Sure. Let me ask you real quick, Ellis, about 30 seconds. If you're double teaming Pharaoh, who do you double team him with? Which positions?
Well, if he's an outside receiver, you just roll your corner up and play over top, probably a deep half, and you can play halves on one side and quarters on the other, or even play some man on one side and zone on the other. If he's inside, you have to play a scheme where you man him up with one guy and play zone around it. It's about the only other way to do it. And of course, 2-man's okay also, but you've got help over the top, and he can get loose underneath if you don't have a great player to cover him. He's as good a catch and runner guy as I've seen in the last 5 years.
All right, whoever's got the dog, will you shoot him, please? And then we'll come back to you in just a second. I'm only kidding. Don't shoot the dog. I know you probably love the dog, whichever one has the dog.
I'm sure. Yeah, that dog's more loved than you in that group.
Chuck Reedy, Ellis Johnson, be back with them in just a moment. It's the coordinators here on Sports Talk Wednesday night leading up to USC and Tar Heels, Tigers, and Terriers. Back in a moment. And we're back, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Back to our coordinators in a moment. Hey, whether you're a Carolina Gamecock or you bleed Clemson Orange, all South Carolina football fans can agree on Founders Federal Credit Union with a convenient location on USC's campus and a Clemson office coming soon. Founders is a sure fan favorite. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. Back to our coordinators, Chuck Reedy and Ellis Johnson. Before we get to Clemson and Wofford, let me ask you this. Chuck, we'll begin with you. We've pointed out here a few times that on South Carolina's two-deep offensive depth chart, there's 5 walk-ons in prominent positions. I know that includes the fullback position, which isn't hardly used, but it's there nonetheless. Is that anything to be concerned about, that number of walk-ons in a prominent spot on the depth chart?
Yeah, I would be a little bit concerned about it. And obviously, if they're on the two deep, they've done something to earn that, and they've earned the respect of the coaches. But that for an SEC school, I would think that would be somewhat unusual.
Mm-hmm. Ellis, your thoughts on that?
Very much so. That depends on how they end up getting them. If they've got some guys hurt recently, and those guys had to step up, then you really got an issue. If they earn those spots, like Chuck said, then they must be pretty good football players in that league.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what the Hayden Hurst kid can do, the former professional baseball player. He's 22 years old, obviously a tremendous athlete, and he's earned the respect of Steve Spurrier and a chance to show what he can do. And look, I'm not knocking walk-ons. Many walk-ons blossom and become outstanding players, so we'll see what happens. All right. Clemson Wofford, guys. Ellis, we'll begin with you. And we had Coach Ayers and the Wofford players on last night. And I tell you, you've been in that position as an FCS head coach, and you know what it's like to play those so-called money games. But Wofford's not thinking about this as a money game. I think they can go into Clemson and win.
Well, they've always been a tough team to play. When I've coached against them, when we were at Carolina, we played them twice. But the thing, of course, like we all defense coordinators always hate to see when we don't play in those leagues, we don't like defending the wishbone, and it's twofold. You don't want to put your defensive scheme on the back burner for a whole week while you're getting ready for Wofford, and then you got another game coming behind it where you have to go back. Kids, forget everything they learned. And it's also just a very difficult offense to stop unless you're used to it. Now, Clemson is a little different in the fact they have to play Georgia Tech every year. And so probably having a wishbone team early on the schedule, probably not that big of a problem because you got time in your preseason to put time in it. And then it helps you down the road to have seen a good, solid wishbone team play Georgia Tech.
Chuck, Clemson debuted their co-offensive coordinators in the bowl game, and it worked out extremely well for them against Oklahoma last year. Now, Chad Morris is gone. He's taken his ideas with him, but he's left the offense behind, and as Dabo has said, it's a Clemson offense, not a Chad Morris offense. How do you think co-offensive coordinators are going to work in the long run for an entire season?
Well, I think the world of Tony Elliott and Jeff Scott are both excellent young football coaches. The bowl game, everything worked and everything went well and all of that. So it's very easy to call a football game when everything you call is working. The true test will come, against Louisville or Florida State when you're in the fourth quarter and it's a tough, hard-fought ball game. Then we'll find out because that's when it's tough when things aren't working. Every time that you call the plays. But they're two very good coaches, and the fact that it is delineated as to who is calling the plays. I think as long as you have one play caller, certainly you're much better off. What I've never thought was a good idea is when you have a play calling by committee. And but I don't think that's the way it's set up. I think Tony is the play caller, and and their co-coordinators as far as preparation, throughout the week.
All right, let me ask you both quickly, less than a minute. Chuck, will Clemson have any trouble with Wofford on Saturday?
Yeah, I would say yes. The last time they played them 3-4 years ago, it was an 8-point game and 1 point going into the fourth quarter. Wofford's going to be a good football team. They're going to move the football. They're going to make first downs. They're going to keep the ball away from Clemson. It's just a tough. I would hate to play them if I was the head coach.
Ellis, I hear you've been hired by the Dolphins.
The Chafin Dolphins. I'm getting ready to go to practice now. I'm strictly an observer.
You have fun. And thank you for being with us. Chuck, thank you very much. Appreciate you two extremely much. And have a great weekend, and we'll catch you next week. It'll be Thursday nights typically, except for that week when Clemson's playing on Thursday night. Our coordinators, Chuck Reedy and Ellis Johnson. Back in a moment. Thanks again to Chuck Reedy and Ellis Johnson for being with us here on the Sports Talk as our coordinators, giving you insight that only trained professional football coaches can give you. That's why we love them. All right, to recruiting now, which requires no real football insight or knowledge, just the ability to talk to teenage boys on their level.
Nice.
Defensive back J.J. Givens of Mechanicsville, Virginia, committed to USC in June following a camp visit. The commitment remains in place. He has 2 official visits set at this point, USC for the Clemson weekend, Arizona State later this month, but he is looking at other possible visits, Clemson, Ole Miss, Penn State. Told us that Clemson is making a strong push for him, has been doing so in recent weeks, talking a lot to Brent Venables, and been working him very hard. He said that if he were to decommit and go to Clemson, he'd be the most hated person in South Carolina. Or as he put it, at least on the maroon side. I had to remind him it was garnet, not maroon, which he corrected. But anyway, he says he doesn't know what the future holds, but right now he said, I am a Gamecock. And they continue to recruit him very hard. He talked to Deke Adams Tuesday night as well, told him he'd have a chance to play early. But he says he's going to take the visits and make sure he's doing what's best for him. Decision finalized in December. Defensive back Javon Jackson, Tyrone, Georgia, plans an unofficial to USC for the Kentucky game. He's had USC and Duke at the top of his list, but he said Ohio State is starting to become involved with him as well. USC offered 2017 linebacker Will Igmont, Newmarket, Alabama, 2017 offensive lineman Robert Hainsey, IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. Clemson offered 2018 offensive lineman Austin Fontaine, DeMatha Catholic in Hyattsville. And if you missed it yesterday, just to close the book on this one, tied in Nasir Upshur, Philadelphia, committed to Florida State over Michigan. Basketball, 6'9" Jordan Bruner, Spring Valley, set to begin his officials this weekend, going to Yale. He'll take one less official than originally planned. He's cut Temple from the list, leaving Georgia September 18th, Tennessee October 2nd, Clemson October 9th. He's had a long-running relationship with Clemson. Looking forward to going up there on his visit. Likes the school, likes the program, likes the coaches, and they like him. He is still dealing with injuries. He played over the summer, coming off a torn MCL last season that limited him to just 2 playoff games. He's worked hard to get healthy, but he developed a stress fracture in his lower left leg, and he played through the summer with that, also a hyperextended knee. So he's been dealing with injuries. He's going to have that stress fracture checked out soon. But anyway, he continues with the recruiting process. No favorite right now among his 4 he's planning to assign with his team in November. You might recall that his sister played at South Carolina, and the Gamecocks really did not make him a serious offer, so he didn't really consider them. All right, don't forget to check out recruiting on the website, sportstalksc.com, on Twitter, #ST Recruiting. Top of the hour break, Dabo Swinney, next hour, and more.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
All righty. Back with you on Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Coming up, we have the Governors making their debut, the football filibuster, in just a couple of minutes. Also, Jeff Farrington, head coach at North Greenville. They play at Charleston Southern tomorrow night. Also, Dabo Sweeney coming up. And our Braves report with Mike Morgan coming your way right now. Braves report here on Sports Talk brought to you by Play It Again Sports off Bauer Parkway in Columbia and by Founders Federal Credit Union. As we welcome Mike in, the Yankees are bludgeoning the Red Sox today. It's 13-6 in the bottom of the eighth. The Bombers with 5 home runs. And how the Braves do today, Mikey?
If I gave you 3 guesses, what would you say?
Lose big, lose bigger.
Lose
Okay.
ugly. Lose ugly.
They are playing the Marlins. That's an outstanding organization and franchise, well run, great management. So there's no shame in losing to the Marlins, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when we were kids, we used to play this game, What's Grosser Than Gross, and try to come up with some of the most vivid details that would really make the whole crowd at the lunch table go, ooh. Now it's what's worse than worse. And getting swept at home by the Marlins after giving up about 2,700 runs to the Yankees. This is about as bad as I've seen this team in my 6 years.
I think you said that last night.
No, I think now with the capper comes when you actually get swept. When the Brooms are broken out by the hapless Florida Marlins, excuse me, the Miami Marlins. Hey, they could have been the San Juan Marlins. They still would have swept the Braves. I mean, this is really bad. It's 8 in a row now. There's nothing going right for this team. You can't point to anything that is a bright spot right now. It's truly awful. I haven't seen anything quite like this. And even before I locked on with the Braves as an employee, I followed this team going back to my days as a kid in the woeful 80s. You got to go back to those late 80s teams to even come up with anything analogous to it. And the other thing is that right now they don't even look like they're into it. I mean, it looks like they collectively checked out. So it's bad upon worse, and you have a 4-game road trip against the Washington Nationals, who desperately need to win to look forward to. It's going to be a very long September.
Well, we found a bright spot. Your guy, Oliveira, 2 RBIs.
Yeah, he's 1 for 7 now. I mean, that's something. We're reaching for straws, pro, but I'll take it. Two ribbies, his first 2 career RBIs. That's right. And it's about all we got for you in the positive column.
Ding, ding, ding.
All right, Mike. Hey, the good thing for you, my friend, football season is here. You'll be hitting the road to do a bunch of games coming up on your various networks. So we look forward to talking some football with you as well. Mike Morgan, our Braves report here on Sports Talk. The Governors coming up.
Just say Governor. You can't.
Well, there's no doubt now that college football season is back upon us because it is time for the football filibuster of 2015. And in just a moment, we'll be joined by our governors, Jim Hodges and David Beasley. In fact, let's go ahead and welcome Governor Hodges to the program. Governor Beasley was with us a moment ago, and he's going to check back in with us in just a second. He didn't want to wait during the break for 4 minutes. Who does he think he is, Donald Trump?
Well, he must. But, you know, after my 15-year win streak, he probably just doesn't want anything.
Is it truly 15 years in a row?
15 years in a row. It's the only thing a Democrat has won in South Carolina in a generation.
Well, you know, there is such a thing as term limits, but there is no limit to your domination as we welcome Governor Beasley to the football filibuster for 2015. He's already talking smack at you, Governor.
Well, that's just the way it is. I'm going to have to earn the right to talk smack back, and this is going to be the season.
There you go. You're coming in with a lot of confidence, Let me remind everybody what happened last year. I know Governor Beasley wants to forget. Governor Hodges finished 7-8 in bowl season. You both went 7-8 in bowl season. So Governor Hodges finished 82-83, and Governor Beasley 73-92. So about a 9-game difference between the two of you. Governor Beasley, can you make that up this year?
Well, we're going to give it our best. I'm going to take my dartboard and tighten it up a little bit this time, so see what happens.
Now, whose face is on your dartboard?
Well, right now it's probably just mine. Mary Wood broke her arm last week and had surgery yesterday, and so she's throwing darts at me right now.
Okay, be careful now. Be careful. All right, guys, let's get at it. We've got 10 marvelous games for you to discuss. Governor Beasley will let you lead off as the perennial underdog in this competition. Are you ready, sir?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. We'll start with a pick'em game in state, Coastal Carolina at Furman. Coastal. Governor Hodges.
Absolutely, Coastal. I really like the Chanticleers this year, so I'll take Coastal.
Now, are both of you expecting Coach Moglia to support one of your future campaigns or something? Is that why you're picking Coastal or what?
I just want a stock out. That's all I want.
All right, here we go. Texas at Notre Dame, Governor Beasley. Notre Dame is favored by 10.
I don't think Texas can score against anybody, so I'm going to go with Notre Dame in the home field advantage.
Okay. Governor Hodges?
I agree. I think Notre Dame, it's going to be a really good year for Notre Dame, and I think they'll beat them by at least 2 touchdowns.
Okay. We go to Ohio State against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech getting 13. Governor Beasley.
Well, yeah, you know, Ohio State's going to be strong. They really are. But I think 13 points, and I just got this feeling that Virginia Tech's defensive coordinators go confuse the Ohio State Buckeyes a little bit, and Bud Foster's going to put it to them. So I'm going with Virginia Tech with the spread.
Okay. And if his players don't play well, he's just going to fine them, take away some of that money the NCAA is giving them. What do you think, Governor Hodges?
I'm with David on this. Ohio State always starts slowly, and Virginia Tech's playing at home. I'm going to take I think Ohio State will win, but I think it'll be a touchdown or less.
All right. Virginia at UCLA, and the Bruins laying 19.5. Governor Beasley.
This is one where my head tells me UCLA, but I just, you know, UCLA, they'll start slow. That freshman quarterback's my bet, and I think Virginia's going to do a little bit better than anticipated. And so I will go with Virginia on the spread.
Governor Hodges, do you detect that Governor Beasley has done some homework this year?
Absolutely. Absolutely. On this one, I'm going to disagree, though. The Virginia Tech is on a death watch right now, and they I don't think that they're going to be able to compete with UCLA. So I think they'll win by 3 touchdowns.
All right, you got UCLA. The Bruins. Duke at Tulane, Governor Beasley, and Tulane getting 7.5 at home.
Oh, that's a terrible game. I think Duke's going to win, but I think with 7.5 points, I think that half a point's going to give Tulane the edge. So I'll go pick Tulane.
All right, you got them. Governor Hodges.
Yeah, just to be different here, I'll pick Duke. I don't have any real reason to, other than I really love the coach at Duke. So I'll take Duke.
All right, very good. Let's go to some bigger games. And Governor Hodges, you shall lead us now. Mississippi State at Southern Miss. Southern Miss getting 21 at home.
I'm going to take Southern Miss. I know Mississippi State's good, but a home game in Hattiesburg, first game of the season, I think Southern Miss will be able to keep it within 21 points.
All right, Governor Beasley.
I don't think they will. I think Mississippi State's going to do fine, and they'll cover that spread. So I'm going to go with Mississippi State.
Prescott beginning his Heisman Trophy campaign. The most, and I agree with something I read. Nobody's talking about Mississippi State. I picked them to win the West. And this was a team that was number 1 in the country last year and had a Heisman contender, and nobody's talking about them. Wisconsin, Alabama, Governor Hodges. Who's going to be the quarterback with the Crimson Tide? They're favored by 10, playing this on a neutral site.
Well, I don't know who's going to be the quarterback, but I know who's going to be the coach.
Yeah.
And that's Saban. And after the way the year ended last year, Saban is going to have those boys ready to play. So I'm going to take Alabama. I'm going to take them. I think they're going to win it by more than 10.
Very good, Governor Beasley.
Well, I'm going with the home advantage of my wife, Alabama, and that's going to be added to the fact that, like Jim was talking about, I just don't see Alabama's defense giving up too much out of Wisconsin. I think they're too strong on that front seven. So I'm going with Alabama and keeping the family life happy.
There you go. Mama ain't happy. Nobody's happy. Arizona State at Texas A&M. The Aggies laying 3. Governor Hodges.
I'm going to take Arizona State. I really like that team, and I like the coach a lot, but particularly like the team. And I think they're going to beat A&M this year, so I'll take State.
Gov Beasley.
This is going to be the game of the week, I believe, and I'm going to differ with Jim though. I'm going to go with Texas A&M. I think they've got pretty strong defensive line, create enough pressure, and I think they got some good receivers that will pull some things out of the hat and give them that victory that we're looking for.
All right, very good. We go to another neutral site game in Atlanta, Louisville and Auburn. Auburn laying 10.5. Governor Hodges.
I love this Auburn team this year. I think they're really good. And this quarterback's going to be a heck of a player. I'm going to take Auburn.
Governor Beasley.
I think Jim's right. Jeremy Johnson's going to be a superstar, and I think my head tells me, looking on paper, Louisville with that kind of spread, but I think Auburn's going to win by 2 touchdowns.
Okay. That takes us to tomorrow night. South Carolina, North Carolina, Tar Heels getting to neutral site in Charlotte. Governor Hodges.
Yeah, I'm going to the game tomorrow afternoon, leaving for that. It's hard to say what we have at Carolina this year. I think we're going to be pretty good and never bet against Steve Spurrier in an opening game. I'll take the Gamecocks.
Did you bet against him last year in an opening game?
Do what?
Did you bet against him last year in the opening game?
I forgot about that one already.
How the heck do you remember that? How you remember that stuff?
You always forget last year.
Governor Beasley, who do you like? Gamecocks, Tar Heels?
I think Jim's right on. Spurrier is not going to let it happen, regardless of where they play on this first game. So Gamecocks all the way.
You got it. All right, time for amendments. Governor Beasley, any amendments, sir?
You meant for last year or this year?
Last year was last year. That's what you said in your email. Put last year behind you and move forward.
Well, I don't have a single thing to change, but I'll let you know on Saturday afternoon.
You got it. Governor Hodges, you, sir.
Yeah, same here. I'm looking forward to this season. It's always a lot of fun.
Very good. Either of you make it to Darlington on Sunday?
Yeah. We're going to be at the track that's too tough to tame, the granddaddy of them all, Darlington, the Pearl of the PD. Come on and join us.
You got it, my man. Governor Hodges, you going to make it there?
No, my son's going, but I'm not. I'm going to actually get it. I'm going to be in the mountains, but always love going there. What a fun race.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much. Have a great weekend, a great football weekend, a great racing weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. There you go, the football filibuster, week number 1. Governor Hodges, Governor Beasley, here on Sports Talk. Thanks again to the Governors for being with us for their picks on Sports Talk. Now it's time for the professionals to give you their thoughts on this week's array of games. That would be –
where are they?
That would be the four of us here, our newsman extraordinaire, Matt Long, and we've added a new component to the Sports Talk Pick'em Challenge.
We need another shark in the tank.
Kevin Cohen, our buddy over at the Point here in Columbia, he is going to join this year. A most knowledgeable football man is he. So, Coastal Carolina and Furman. We have all picked Coastal Carolina. You know, that was a hard pick. Furman, Reese Hannon playing at home. They've got the revenge factor times 2 or 3 in this game, but hard to overlook Coastal and their offense. Notre Dame and Texas, and everybody picked Notre Dame except for State Man. Go figure. Ohio State and Virginia Tech. I've got Ohio State. So does State Man. So does Matt, the newsman. And everybody else is taking Virginia Tech and the points there. I just think Ohio State's going to overwhelm them. UCLA, Virginia, everybody's taking UCLA except for State Man and Pro. Pro's taking Virginia. We've all taken Duke across the board. We've all taken Mississippi. We all took Alabama. Texas A&M and Arizona State. Matt was the only one. No, I take that back. Kev Cohen was the only one to take the Aggies. He's on an island by himself. Louisville and Auburn. I don't think Louisville will beat Auburn. I don't think they'll lose by 10.5. I'll take the points. Pro, you took Auburn. Matt took Auburn, and Kev Cohen took Auburn. K-Mac and I and State Man are taking the Cardinals. Gamecocks and Tar Heels. We've got I've got the Gamecocks. Pro's got the Gamecocks. State Man's got the Gamecocks. Kev Cohen's got the Gamecocks. K-Mac, you're taking the Tar Heels. And Matt, the newsman, taking the Tar Heels. By the way, in case you lost track of last year, Pro came out the winner last year. What did you receive for your victory?
Just satisfaction of being like the Carolina Panthers, win with a losing record.
79-86 last year. You edged me and Matt, the newsman. We finished 78-87. Finishing third place or fourth place was Steak Man, 73-92, and finishing dead last year. Of course, you were down a kidney, so I can understand that. 69-96 last year, K-Mac. Well, almost 100 wrong.
He's still down a kidney, so what does that mean?
I want to know what you're going to do to turn it around. You're under the gun. You're on the hot seat.
We made some changes. We have some new players in there, some new coaches, and we're going to come out ready to go.
Yeah.
And a few walk-ons.
Yeah.
And a few walk-ons. You change coordinators. Okay, there you go. That's our picks, the Governor's picks. Coming up, we're going to talk about North Greenville and Charleston Southern. Should be a good ball game tomorrow night. Back in a moment. And we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network from downtown Columbia. Phil Kornblue, Kevin McCrary, and the professor, Tom Hayes. More calls coming up. 800-956-7266 is the number if you want to dial us up. And our email, talkback@sportstalksc.com, is how you can reach us there as well. You know, there is more than just the USC and North Carolina game involving state teams tomorrow night. There is a game to be played down in Charleston at Charleston Southern. It's going to be North Greenville going up against Charleston Southern, and we're joined now by North Greenville coach Jeff Farrington. The Crusaders making their way down I-26 towards Charleston. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Phil. Thank you for having us on tonight.
Our pleasure. How far down the road are you?
Well, we're just about to Clemens, so we're making a little progress. we had a good meal before we pulled out, so it's a quiet bus right now.
Good. I'm sure they're taking a nap and relaxing. Well, let's talk about your team. Got a bunch of starters back from last year, and you got a senior quarterback who's been outstanding for you since he's been there. I can't believe that Nelson Hughes is still your quarterback. Seems like he's been there about 8 years. But how's the team look in camp?
Well, we are ready to go line up, play somebody. And, we've had a good camp. We've probably no different. A lot of people had some people banged up and with some different type of injuries that are not season-ending injuries, but just your general nicks and bruises that you miss practice time. So we're trying to see what we can become and get them all out there and get a little timing down and that type of thing. But it's been good.
You know, Nelson might be the best quarterback, the best passing quarterback nobody's really ever heard of. 3,150 yards last year, 22 touchdowns, only 10 interceptions. Just how good was he last year, and what do you expect from him this year?
Well, he's had a really good career here, and he understands what we try to do offensively. He's taken to it right from the get-go. He'll walk right by you and you won't even know he's our quarterback because he just kind of will blend in. But you get him on the game field, he does a good job of seeing and making decisions and putting the ball where it needs to be with timing. And in our level, he's got the ability to extend plays and create on his own. And he's no different than either of our other players. He's most effective when he plays within himself and plays within the scheme. But, he's prepared, worked very hard. We're certainly would love to see him have the continued success that he's been able to have.
Robbie Brown was outstanding for you last year, 80 catches. He's back for his junior year out of Swansea High School. That's a great season, 80 catches. What do you like in him? And obviously the connection between Hughes and Brown, I mean, they're on the same page.
Well, they were last year, and we certainly hope that that duo can continue as we move forward this year and get into the season. We had some question marks who was going to step up for us last year receiver-wise. Robbie had to play the year before as a true freshman due to some injuries, and he got in a little bit and really took off last year and really came out of the gate really fast, made some big plays. His confidence just soared and just continued on through the season for him.
So I look at your numbers, I look at the stats. You favor the pass. It's a pass-happy team. Are you spread? Are you up-tempo? What are you doing offensively with this crowd?
Well, we're obviously, for us, we're no different than anybody else. Everything's going to start up front for us. And we want to be able to run the ball as well. We've had success running the ball the last 2 years. If you look at our numbers, we try to take what the defenses give us. And Joe Pizzo runs our offense, does a great job. And, our kids kind of take to it. And whatever we see that we're able to take advantage of or have a chance to take advantage of offensively against opposing defense, that's how we try to attack. And, some of the throws are off of zone read option. We are a spread team, but we've been given it on the ride, or the quarterback could keep it, or he could throw the hitch out there, kind of like a pitchback.
Mm-hmm. One thing you have to like about your team, it is made up almost exclusively of South Carolina players. There's only maybe a couple of spots in your starting lineup where you're doing it as a starter. So, I mean, it's a group of all-stars from all across the state you've put together.
Well, you know, we recruit a lot in state, and we get states just loaded with talent. A lot of very good football play. The high school coaches do a great job. Very competitive, well coached, and a lot of us are from South Carolina, and a lot of students are North Greenville from South Carolina. So, you know, it's just a familiarity. It's easy for us to go into the schools and develop relationships, and that's an ongoing process. And so when we have an opportunity, as we are this year with our opener, to have to play up a level, and that happens to be a team in state, you know, that's good for our kids.
Absolutely.
For our program and our school.
And you're facing a really good team in Charleston Southern down at their place. You know, the history between the schools and the coaches and all that kind of stuff. So I know it'll be kind of a special night, but they're a very good team. And how do you like the matchup between the two of you? Do you think you can line up with them?
You know, like heard Coach Howard say one time when on the radio at Clemson that thank goodness that we're not playing off what it says on paper, that we got to go play between the lines. So, you know, I don't know about matchups, but we're going to show up to play. Jamie and those guys do a great job. They've been knocking on the door to getting in the playoffs at the FCS level the last 2 years, and they've got a lot of experience on both sides of the ball coming back. I know they're got some new starters on the D-line, but those three guys have played in games. So their offensive line is practically intact, and with some guys that started for about 3 years. So they've got a very good scheme. They're very well coached on both sides of the ball. They've got experience coming back special teams. And so matchup-wise, you know, we got a lot of starters on both sides of the ball. We've improved defensively. Guys, you got to execute, do your responsibilities. It's a triple option team, and be able to limit big plays and make them earn what they get. Try to get them off schedule, but you know, we're excited about the matchup. We'll go down there and throw it out there, and we're going down there to see what we can get done.
Well, last year they put in new lights. This year they've put in new turf, so you'll be the first ones to test that out and see how smooth and how fast it is.
Well, we will. We got to experience that ourselves last year. Our turf got put down in our stadium about 3 days before we opened up a home game on a Thursday night last year. So now it's kind of, we're reverse roles, and so I know their kids are excited. They're certainly putting in upgrading their facilities, and I'm sure it looks great. And they got to be really thrilled to see their facilities move forward.
Well, listen, we wish you the best of luck tomorrow night and throughout the season, and we'll check in with you periodically throughout the campaign. And thanks for visiting with us tonight on Sports Talk.
Thank you so much. You have a good night.
You too. Thank you. All right, Jeff Farrington. I think he's a Citadel grad from back in the day, and taking a team laden with South Carolina talent. I mean, up and down their roster, and their two deep depth chart, South Carolina kids, one after another. So that's good. That's good to see that. Like Newberry, I think Newberry and North Greenville probably have more South Carolinians on their rosters, and for obvious reasons. They're Division II schools. They have limited recruiting budgets, cheaper to educate in-state residents than it is out-of-state residents.
Yeah, cheaper to use a tank of gas rather than an airplane ticket to recruit.
You got that right. And we appreciate Coach being with us tonight. Coming up, some Dabo Swinney from the Tigers practice today, and we'll try and squeeze in another phone call or two as well. We'll be right back.
Closer, won't be long now. Got a couple days, Thursday, Friday. Kind of finish up on some preparation things. Like where our team's at.
Coming up, comments from Clemson coach Dabo Swinney here on Sports Talk. Whether you're a Gamecock or a Clemson Tiger, all South Carolina college football fans can agree on Founders Federal Credit Union. With a convenient location on USC's campus and a Clemson office coming soon, Founders is a sure fan favorite. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com and check out to see if you qualify for membership. Hopefully you will. You will benefit immensely. All right, the Tigers practice one more time today. Last time here from Dabo Swinney regarding his team and the preparation for the Wofford Terriers coming up on Saturday. Let's get the latest from the Tigers head coach.
Closer, won't be long now. Got a couple days, Thursday, Friday. Kind of finish up on some preparation things. Like where our team's at. Tomorrow's a critical day for us, kind of buttoning it all up, and then kind of finish it up with our what we call Focus Friday with our game prep. But still like where our team's at. As I said yesterday, I think we're healthy. I think the guys feel good about the camp that they had and kind of where their bodies and mind are right now. So again, everybody's just kind of anxious to get this thing going. But good news is, like I said, it won't be long now, just a couple days.
Has Greg Heigl held on to that kicking job?
Yeah.
And what's he been looking like?
Yeah, Hugo I think he hit a 52-yarder today. Wednesdays is kind of our 2-minute operation today, and we had a little 2-minute drill to finish up good on good. He hit the game-winning field goal, and then we always usually work on long field goals on Wednesdays, and 52 on the first attempt. So yeah, he's continued to really do a good job for us. Excited to see him get out there and have opportunity to do it in front of a bunch of people.
How did Kendall Joseph look today, no lingering effects?
No, he's practiced well. Yeah, he really has. He's been better and better each and every day, but he's taken all the reps. He and Jalen taken all the second team reps and done a nice job.
How's Hugo look on kickoffs?
Good. Yeah, he's really done a nice job.
Between Scott and Christian or anyone else, has that decision been made, or will you make it?
No, not yet. No, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it more as a staff tomorrow, as we really tomorrow's kind of our last staff meeting, and we'll talk about some game specific things as far as how we're going to rotate guys. What our thoughts are as far as sometimes it's like last year. We didn't really ever know who was going to make that decision, who was going to start. So at tackle until after Thursday's practice, because literally every rep counts because the competition was so tight, and so we'll make those decisions after tomorrow, and but we got a bunch of guys that are going to play.
How would you say ball security's been with the running back?
Oh, it's been good. It's been really good. I think we had one day over in the stadium where I thought we were really poor with our ball security. But outside of that, it's been a solid camp. The guys have taken a lot of pride. Tony nobody works harder at the fundamentals and techniques of ball security than those back, and it reflects in the backs. But the biggest thing is it's not that you're never going to have a turnover. I mean, I think national championship caliber was 18 this past year. We hope to be right around that or less. We hope to have none, but the main thing is we want to win that turnover margin. And hopefully we don't have any, but if we do, then we got to go get a couple from the other team.
All right, Dabo Swinney from his practice earlier today. All of Dabo's up on our website, SportsTalk SC. Farm Bureau Insurance. With new auto insurance rates from Farm Bureau, you could be saving a whole lot of money, even if you've received a quote before. Rates are now more competitive than ever. Get a free quote today from your local Farm Bureau insurance agent. Latest high school rankings from the High School Sports Report. And in 4A, it's Spartanburg at number 1, followed by Fort Dorchester, Hillcrest, Burns, Greenwood, Dorman, South Florence, Northwestern, York, and Westside. In 3A, Greer leads the way, followed by South Point, Hartsville, Marlboro County, and Hanahan. Then it's Chapin, Myrtle Beach, Seneca, Emerald, and Belton Honeypath. In 2A, Dillon is number 1, followed by Abbeville, Newberry, Batesburg, Leesville, Timberland. Then it's Fairfield Central, Woodruff, Silver Bluff, Strom Thurmond, and Central. And in 1A, it's McBee number 1, followed by Bamberg, Earhart, Christchurch, Allendale, Fairfax, and Calhoun County. Cross at number 6, and is followed by Hemingway, C.E. Murray, Lakeview, and Lamar. Not the mighty Latta Vikings at number 11. But on Friday, the mighty Vikings have to go play the Weasels of Dillon, and that could be trouble. We'll be back. All right, a couple of final notes to get to tonight that we haven't mentioned. First of all, it was announced today, South Carolina and North Carolina, they are going to continue their series in Charlotte. They're going to play in 2019 and 2023. The Charlotte Sports Foundation made that announcement. You know, each team is going to make $3 million from the game tomorrow night. So from that standpoint, it's a worthwhile venture.
Like a bowl game.
Yes, it is, without all the fun. Clemson announced its complete basketball schedule today. Tigers open up against North Carolina Central November 13th. 2 days later, Texas San Antonio. 4 days later, Texas Southern. They all come to Greenville. Then they'll play UMass November 23rd. Then either Creighton or Rutgers. That's part of a some kind of little event, some kind of tournament. And then on November 30th at Minnesota. That must be the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Upstate on December 2nd, then Wofford December 6th. These are all home games. Alabama December 13th, Presbyterian December 15th, and South Carolina on Friday, December 18th. Okay, that's not bad. That's the night before the Shrine Bowl. That's cool. Then they go to Georgia December 22nd, open up ACC play at North Carolina on December 30th on ESPN2. ACC home opener will be Florida State on January 2nd, then a trip to Syracuse, then 3 home games, Louisville, Duke, and Miami, a trip to Virginia, Pittsburgh at home, 3-game road trip, Florida State, Wake, and Virginia Tech, 3-game homestand, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, Boston College, 2 on the road, NC State and Georgia Tech in late February, then Virginia March 1 at home, last ACC regular season game at Boston College, and then the ACC tournament on March the 8th. Which will be in, where is it this year? Is it D.C. this year? Where was it last year? I think last year it was, no, yeah, this year's in D.C. Last year was D.C. this year, I think, right? Or is it Brooklyn this year? I've lost track. Anyway, they'll be in the ACC tournament wherever it's being played. Newberry College announced its newest inductees into its Athletic Hall of Fame. 6 are going into the Hall of Fame September the 19th. They are Angie Smith in softball, Vic Gilmore in football, Keno Griffin in wrestling, Will Newell in football, Cy Wainwright in wrestling, and Mark Weeks in football. Citadel announced today they've sold out the Pearson Club level of Johnson Haygood Stadium. First time in the history that they have sold it out. That was opened in 2008. So congratulations there. And I think that's it. You know what? All that's left is to kick it off and see what they got tomorrow night, K-Mac.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. The talking season's over, finally.
Let's get it done. K-Mac and I will be in Charlotte covering the game. Pro will be here. We'll be on with him. He and the State Man will handle things from here in Columbia. And don't forget to follow us here on the program tomorrow night and, of course, on Twitter at SportsTalk SC and on the website at sportstalksc.com. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow night.